Coming up next, one of the most powerful moments with an artist that I've ever had in an interview. You're going to see why next. This artist has had huge hits in every decade since the 70s. Coming up next, he tells the story of two of his classic songs, including one of the first songs he wrote as a teenager, and one of the biggest entertainment companies had their lawyers block this song until a twist of fate that you won't believe willed it to the masses. Then in another story, the singer breaks down discussing the most emotionally difficult song he's ever written. This is a must-see next. Gotta see it on Professor. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. Make sure to subscribe below right off the bat and to be a part of a community that is dedicated to the timeless music of the rock and roll era, straight from the legends, the stories. And make sure to click on the bell so you don't miss out. Also, look at our Patreon link below to become a part of curating this important work, and you get a lot more benefits. I'm excited to bring you another episode from our series, Revelations, where featured artists go very deep into their greatest songs and albums. We're coming up on 600 total interviews that I've done since starting this years ago. The most common question that I get from people about what I do is mostly, who is my favorite interview of all time and what was the greatest moment from an interview? Of course, my answers change almost daily, but I will say that there have been times where I was just completely blown away. One of my favorite artists that I've gotten to know over the years is Kenny Loggins. Become a friend and known as the king of the movie soundtrack. But Kenny Loggins is much more than that. He's had an impact on every single generation. I mean, think about it. He connected with baby boomers first as part of Loggins and Messina.
And it's all because your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll.
One of the most successful duos ever. He did the same with Gen Xers when he dominated movie soundtracks, Top Gun, Footloose, Caddyshack, to name a few. And then millennials and Gen Z have discovered him as the co-captain of Yacht Rock, along with his connections to Archer and Grand Theft Auto, and collaborating with the artist Thundercat, so many more. Up next, Kenny Loggins opens up about writing two songs. First one is a song that started it all, House at Pooh Corner, which Kenny gave to the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
Kenny Loggins wrote it, and we recorded it in 1969.
In fact, in the video, we also get insight from John McEwen, a founding member of the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
Back to the house at Pooh Corner about one.
They relate the story of how Disney wouldn't allow the song to be recorded since they own the rights to Winnie the Pooh, and how through a miracle, they were able to get it done. It's an amazing story. He also tells about reinventing the song in the 90s for his famous children's album.
Chase on the clouds from the sky. Chase the clouds.
That's the first part. Now, the second part is one of my favorites. This is where Kenny gets very vulnerable about creating a song that came as a way to explain to his young children why he and their mother were getting divorced. This was a very meaningful discussion and one of my favorite moments from an interview. You need to see it, really. Very healing. All of this is next on Professor of Rock. Now, as we go into this interview, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear, my favorite glasses ever. At Zenni.com, you can design your own glasses, and then you can do a virtual try-on where you can see exactly how the eyewear is going to look on you. And you can make sure that it matches your face with Zenni's virtual mirror feature. Check it out now at Zenni.com. Here's Kenny with the interview.
I've got to get back to the house at Pooh Corner by one.
Couldn't go without asking you about House at Pooh Corner. Tell me real quick about the story about how you wrote it and then the verse you added to it.
This song, another one that I wrote as a senior in high school. I was going on graduation, and I suddenly saw the parallel of Christopher Robin leaving the 100 Acre Wood, and that was where I was in my life. I guess cut to a year and some later, I've graduated, I've got a place of my own. I got my first job as a songwriter. And I made $100 a week as a songwriter. And yeah. And for that, they got House of Pooh Corner. I think they made their money back. And the way I got my songs heard was I would go to different parties, and there'd be a lot of songwriters that would show up. And at this one particular party, there were a couple guys from the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band who were there.
He said his name Bojangles and he danced a lick.
I was living in Laurel Canyon, which was in the late 60s. $90 a month for including utilities. Across the street was Scott McKenzie with flowers in his hair, and down the street, Mamas and Papas. Across from them, Mothers of Invention. And it was a big conglomeration of people trying to figure out how to get on the radio. Then there was this kid hanging around the Troubadour dressing room, 19 years old, going, "Hey, I got some songs. If you guys want to do some, I got some songs. Maybe you like this one, or maybe you like this one." Whatever it was, very excitable boy he was.
And they loved the song about the bear, and they wanted to do it.
So Kenny came up, and I recorded a demo with 6 songs on it of just him and his guitar. Mm-hmm. And House of Pooh Corner was one of them. We wanted to put out House of Pooh Corner because it seemed perfect for the market at the time. A blend of acoustic, drums, electric guitar doing little cute licks.
I've got to get back to the House of Pooh Corner.
What happened there was, I got the call from Disney, the record company did. Can't put it out. We own the Pooh Corner.
A few months later, I got a phone call from John McEwen, and he says, "We can't do that song." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, we've been inundated with phone calls from the Disney attorneys, and they claim they have a thing called a copyright on that sucker, and so we are ceasing and desisting." And I was really bummed, and this is a true story. And I told my girlfriend, we were going on a date that night, and I said, I'm kind of bummed. I thought I had my first song recorded, and it's not going to happen. The Disney lawyers killed it in the water. And she looked at me and she goes, "Disney lawyers? Let me talk to Daddy about that." I did not know that I was dating the daughter of the CEO of the Disney Corporation. And proving there is a God. She took me home to meet her dad, sat on the floor, and I played House of Pooh Corner. Now I'm 20, maybe, yeah. I'm sure he was looking at me going, "No way in hell is anybody ever going to hear this song." So he called the lawyers and said, "Okay, let him have it."
And it made it to, I think it made it,
If that's
made it top.
if that is
Kansas City,
example-
it was number 1, and New York, it was probably number 47. In different parts of the country, it was a top 20 hit.
Winnie the Pooh doesn't know what to do.
And so that's why, if you've ever thought about that, why did Kenny Loggins get to sing the only other song about Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah.
That should not have happened. That I consider an act of God. That just was like, we're going to make this happen now. And years later, the Sherman Brothers wrote Winnie the
Right.
Pooh, fuzzy little cubby.
We all stuffed with fluff, he's Winnie the Pooh.
A girl working in the Disney offices named Bambi, swear to God, called me and the Sherman Brothers and brought us in to write the theme song to the Tigger movie. So that circle completed.
Yeah.
And your heart will lead you home.
Return to Pooh Corner. Tell me about putting that together.
That came from that time of my life. My daughter Bella was a baby, and my job was to put her to bed at night. Mm-hmm. So I would go up to her room, and we'd sit in the rocking chair, and I would sing whatever came to my mind and sing her to sleep. I got the idea of writing a new third verse to House of Pooh Corner, because I wrote that when I was a senior in high school. Mm-hmm. So that was the child leaving his childhood behind. Now, at that stage, I was, 20 years later, and I was ready to write the point of view of a father.
After all said and done, I was watching my son.
So it was more like watching the wheel go around some more.
Right.
So I wrote a new third verse to it, and Crosby, my oldest, named it Return to Pooh Corner.
Swear that old bear whispered, "Boy, Welcome.
Kenny said that will always be grateful for that chance you gave him, because that opened up his career in a lot of
The
ways.
chance we gave him, well, the chance he gave us is the way I look at it.
That's so nice.
I mean, he was a magical, still is, former songwriter, guy full of energy.
You'd be surprised, there's so much to be done. And you go again. Chase all the clouds from the sky, back to the days of Christopher Robin Pooh.
And you lie there in the dark and wonder why.
Music alive. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.